references. Why is that a game that has stuck with you guys so much?
Oh, we just felt like we really let ourselves down on that day. I think we almost had the air sucked out of us a little bit, I felt, by the changes they made to their team. We were expecting, a top of the table clash, and I think by the way, I'm not making an excuse here, but I just felt like the game became something that we weren't expecting it to be, and we really let ourselves down with how we approached that game, the intensity that we played with. We weren't able to give the crowd the spark that we needed to on the day, and it was a flat game that we should have won. And I remember saying to you guys after that we lost it in the first half through not doing what we should have done, and I think everyone's got in their minds now, front and centre, that we might experience something this similar on Wednesday with the situation that they're in, and we're going to have to make sure that we go there, and the responsibility is on us to put that right from the first game.
Given obviously where you are, Vancouver is and Seattle is in the standings, and 2 games in less than a week, how do you go about managing, trying to keep guys fresh? Just walk me through the challenges of it.
No, I think we've almost done the work that we needed to do to get to this point in how we've managed the midweek games up until now, and I'm obviously not, through my selection, suggesting that these players aren't capable of playing 3 games in a week, because that is the norm for players at this level often, and we've safeguarded against them doing so up until this point, because we're conscious of the fact it's a 9-game month, or a 9-game between 3 weeks and a month, and we wanted to make sure we got to this point in really good shape, and we've got there in the sense that we've got everyone available and fit other than the longer term injuries, and we can attack the remaining 2 games this week with everything that we've got. And that's not to say that we will use only a certain number of players, but I have in mind that if we wanted to go with the same 11 Wednesday and Sunday, then we could do so.
Does the short travel help with that? I mean, you're only going from Vancouver. Is that rare, really, to have such a...
Yeah, I think obviously the 2-hour time zone change is one that we are aware of, and it's helpful that you're staying in the same time zone from one game to another, and yeah, the conditions are there for us to perform, and I've said that to the players today, that it's 5 or 6 days that's going to probably define our season in a lot of senses, and we've got to go there and feel like we are capable of giving everything that we've got, and we want on Sunday night to feel like we've left no stone unturned, and we've really done ourselves justice as a group, because I feel like we've got to this point a couple of times where we're really threatening to be one of the top teams, and then we just fall short, and then we have to prove ourselves again. And I think this is 2 games where we got to grab it by the scruff of the neck.
So define your season, really? You think this week will in many
I
ways
just feel like we will get to the official halfway point after this, and we're playing against a Vancouver team that have got a game in hand against us, and they have the possibility of increasing the gap between us and them fairly significantly if we don't get it right, and then I would say that yes, of course, it's by no means all isn't lost at that point, but I want to make the players well aware of the fact that this is a week that could put us in a position where we're then downhill, and we've got something to cling to toward the top of the table. So I sort of wanted to bring that elephant in the room front and centre this morning, make sure the players are in no uncertain terms aware of what we could do over the course of the next 5 days. So fingers crossed we respond well.
When you've got all these games, you've got less training time. Do you spend more time in the video room with the players doing that sort of review?
Yeah, I think we do. We do that well, I would say. We've got a group that are very responsive, I think, to that type of work, and we try and make sure that we do a lot of meetings, but the meetings are short, they're focused. We want the players to feel like we're not sort of taking any liberties with their time, and we push ourselves to be concise and very precise with the messages that we give them, and yeah, we are in a good rhythm in that sense, and that work obviously becomes really important.
When you're looking at Vancouver in particular, I mean, you mentioned that you were disappointed, the whole team was disappointed with how it went. Going into their building, is that the extra motivation you need to maybe, they came into your building, you go into theirs, you have an opportunity for a little bit?
Yeah, we got happy memories there. We had a really good game last year there that was really important for us in the push for the playoffs. So we've got that to draw on. We've got the fact that we're desperate to put right the game here, and we've got a real point to prove, and we've got a group that you can feel they are desperate to win, and we feel like this week the conditions are there for us. We're going into the game in good form. We didn't win on Saturday, but we felt like it was a step forward. We felt like there's some real momentum there, and I think it's a group now that can handle that level of pressure and expectation to win. I think it's probably the first time we've really got to there, and we've consolidated it over probably the last 5-6 games in the way that teams have played against us and some of the results that we've had, that there is some expectation for us to win now as opposed to speculation.
Keen on Saturday talked about the Vancouver game and said that you guys maybe gave them a little too much space, a little too much respect in April.
I think it's a fine balance with them between. Obviously depending on the types of players that end up playing for them, but you have to balance being aggressive with being compact and not giving big spaces away to some very good players. As we found in moments in the home game that where there were points where we were overly aggressive, not connected enough, gave too much space away in the middle, and they got some very good players that can hurt you. And I think you saw that in their game on Saturday against Salt Lake. Salt Lake had a really good start. They were well in the game right up until the last minute, and the second they give a bit of space away at the top of the box, then Vitae really punishes them in the way that Berhalter did against us in the second half. So we got to be conscious of that and deal with that well.
We didn't see Sangbin. What's going on with him?
Sangbin is on green card duty, so I'm not really on top of the specifics of it, but it'll see him out for certainly these 2 games.
And I'm sure that helps as you guys approach the summer as well, and flexibility roster.
Yeah, I think they were very conscious of. Whilst the timing is a little bit awkward in the sense he misses 2 games, it also doesn't put in jeopardy that spot, which is so important for us going into the summer.
Tanny obviously has had a great start to the season. Kelvin was off to a hot start, but Kelvin in terms of starts. What's kind of the conversation with him like in terms of where he's at and how things are?
Yeah, he'd been unfortunate in the sense because of how the injury unfolded, and the timing has meant that he's ended up really in the sort of rotated team on a Wednesday as opposed to playing the MLS games come the weekend. But he's now, I would say, in very good form. I think you've seen over the course of his last couple of games, the goal, the sub appearance, he's starting to look sharp, sharper than he did even 2 weeks or so ago. So we'll obviously be very reliant on him when Tanny goes away in a week's time. So we've really got to get him back to where he feels like he's the main man, and he's the man that can lead the line, because everyone knows on his day he is for sure one of the best forwards in this league.
Overall, just happy where things are at? Now, maybe it's a different answer next week, but as you hit the halfway point here later this week?
Yeah, for sure. I think if someone had given us this prior, we'd have definitely taken the position, and we would have taken, I think, the general feeling in the group that we feel like we can beat anyone on our day, and we've been really consistent, not necessarily consistent in stringing together long runs of wins, but we haven't lost many games over the course of the last 20, 25, 26 is a run that goes back to post-Leagues Cup last year, and this group really coming together. So I feel like we are in a really good place there, but we are always feeling like we're on that precipice of being able to prove that we can do it consistently, and taking a step back and having to then go and take 2 steps forward to get us back in that position. And I think this week becomes a really important week there, and I think we're in a nice position in the sense that, as you alluded to, it isn't make or break, but it can be make this week. So I think we got to make sure that we play the games in a way that reflect that.
Thank you.
Good. Thanks, guys. Thank you.